Well, we're back, and you're going to maybe wonder, is it Groundhog Day? Is there an echo in the room here? Because we're talking about the exact same thing as we talked about last week. But since we have released the video last week, there's been some changes made. So Josh and I are going to talk again. What's the 30-year amortization about? Josh, what did they change and why did they do it?
Well, we'll start maybe with the why did they do it? Because what they've done is they have expanded the eligibility for participating in a 30-year amortization when you have less than 20% down. The big thing here is why. Right. So the government did in their announcement, they explained a little bit about the why behind doing it. We know that interest rates since in this post-COVID period have been higher. And yeah, interest rates are trending in a downward direction, which is good, but they're still a lot higher than we've seen over the last 15 years, of course, with the exception of the last year or two. And so the goal of a 30-year amortization has a few sides to it, but one that they've explicitly expressed is that it's to make homeownership a little bit easier by giving the option for a lower monthly payment using a longer amortization period. So that means we're paying off the loan over a longer period of time. So by definition, I guess, with the same monthly payment, you're able to borrow more money. And so this will help to ease the burden of today's higher interest rates. Now, I know when I am talking with people, a lot of people aren't super excited about the idea of a 30-year mortgage compared to a 25-year mortgage. But what we could do is use that 30-year mortgage to help qualify based on today's higher interest rates. And then, 3 or 5 years from now, when that mortgage is up for renewal and hopefully we find that interest rates are lower than they are today, then you could actually just increase your mortgage payments and hopefully still pay the whole thing off within the 25 years or so.
So the whole goal of this 30-year, I guess, then is what you're telling me is to just this short-term fix to maybe are we getting more money when we go to buy the house, and is it keeping the affordability the same? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think it can be viewed as a short-term fix, although I suspect it's going to be an option for the long term. But for those who would qualify anyway at 25 years, perhaps take the 30 years just to have a bit more comfortable mortgage payment for the first 5 years of your mortgage, and then increase your payment once the interest rates are lower. Or for those who wouldn't qualify based on today's interest rates, take that 30-year amortization so that you can get as much home as you're looking for. And then 5 years from now, when your mortgage term is up, go ahead and increase your payments a little bit to try to shorten down that amortization period so it doesn't end up taking that full 30 years.
Gotcha.
Now, what we talked about last week and what has been in effect since August 1st of this year is that the 30-year amortization was available to first-time home buyers who were buying something that is brand new construction, meaning the home's never been occupied previously. It worked with only 5% down payment, but it had to be that new construction. So it was a very limited. So unless you're buying something new, you're not really taking that 30-year amortization. But what they announced last week is actually slightly before we published our video, but after we had produced that video, what they announced is that they're expanding that 30-year amortization to first-time home buyers buying anything. So you could be buying a resale condo or apartment or house, or new. So it doesn't have to be new or resale. So it's for any first-time home buyers. And first-time home buyers, by definition, are those who haven't owned a home before. But in addition to that, it's also expanded that first-time homebuyer definition applies to recently divorced people, as well as anybody who has owned a home in the past but hasn't lived in it in the last 4 years. So that's the requirement to be able to take a 30-year amortization on any purchase, whether it be new construction or a resale type property. And that's going to come in effect here soon. I think I didn't bring my slide forward, but here's what it is. Any property starting on December 15th. So what that means is the mortgage approval needs to be on December 15th or later. If you've already gotten an approval, but your possession date isn't until after December 15th, at that point, we could easily change it to be a 30-year amortization as long as we're qualifying it now off of the 25. But the other thing they've done is if you've already owned a home, let's say you own a home and you want to rent it out, even keep it, and buy another home for yourself to live in. You can do that as long as the new home is new home construction. You could still take advantage of the 30-year amortization, even as a second, third, fourth time buyer as long as it's for owner occupied purposes. And of course, do that with less than 20% down payment. So here's the example, Jay. $100,000 household income. That's not terribly unreasonable in Edmonton. Two incomes, maybe some Canada Child benefit, or one good income. Like $100,000 isn't that uncommon to find as a household income. In fact, it's a bit less than the average 2-income home. At a current interest rate of just under 4.5%, if you were doing a 5% down payment on a 25-year amortization, you'd be looking at about a $430,000 maximum home price for qualifying. Now, because the way the 30-year amortization works is it allows you to have a larger loan with the same monthly payment, it actually makes about a $30,000 difference in how much you are able to spend, assuming 5% down payment. So in this scenario, brings you up to about 460, or almost a 7% increase. So if you're a repeat buyer buying something brand new, or if you're a first-time home buyer buying anything, starting on December 15th, we'll be able to use that 30-year amortization. So I know, especially Jay, when we're working with our first-time home buyers, starting now, I'll be running those initial analyses based on a 30-year amortization to really give them the best opportunity to find a home that they want and will love, as opposed to having to shave it down a little bit more than they'd like. And of course, it's not for everybody, but anybody who wants to take advantage of it is now a tool in our arsenal.
Sounds like some good options then for our buyers coming up here. I guess what's the next steps? What should we do? What can we do to figure out if this is right for them?
Well, like anybody who's looking at buying a home, really the first thing to do is to understand how much home you could purchase. So that would be getting that pre-approval, running the numbers with me or my team. We take a look at your income, take a look at your credit and your debts and your down payment, and determine what you can do. But this will make it so what you can do is more than you would have been able to do previously. So reach out to us. You can find links in the bio here on YouTube, or in the blog post, or reply to an email if we sent you a link to this video on that. And we can absolutely run your numbers, see how much you'd qualify to spend with a 5% down payment, whether it be on a 25 or a 30-year amortization, and make sure you're ready to go ahead.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that update here, Josh. As always, if you find value in these videos, please like and subscribe. Every Wednesday, we like to release them for you. Also, you can get a hold of us on some of the measures that you see below, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
Thank you, everybody.